Good morning, everyone. Welcome to an enlightening and enriching morning with an esteemed gathering. I extend a warm welcome to all our panelists and audience to an exclusive seminar on essential education for accelerating creative career, being organized by Elets Digital Learning magazine in association with Adobe. Transformations are driving innovations, and the fields of engineering and architecture is also constantly evolving with every passing day. Through this virtual industry academia session, we bring to fore the significance of a creative and updated curriculum for higher education, with technology playing a pivotal role in facilitating creative thinking. We also look to decipher how, through this new curriculum, the students have better probability of making a mark in the world of architecture and engineering. Joining us today, we have Architecture Indra Kumar Singh, Joint Head of Department of Architecture, Planning and Design, Indian Institute of Technology, Varanasi. Welcome, sir. Professor Dr. Anil Diwan, HOD Architecture Department, SPA Delhi. Welcome, sir. Professor Mahesh Chandra Govil, Director, National Institute of Technology, Sikkim. Welcome, sir. Dr. Gauri Kotnis Shurkar, Director, Symbiosis School of Architecture, Symbiosis Skills and Professional University, Pune. Welcome, ma'am. And Mr. Supreet Nagaraju, Head Education, Digital Media, India and South Asia, Adobe, who will be moderating this session. Welcome, sir. I welcome everyone. Over to you, Mr. Nagaraju, to steer this session forward.
Thank you, Gauri. Good morning, one and all. It's a beautiful day to see a lot of esteemed panelists on this, August occasion. We are here today to discuss the future of education, driven and augmented by digital and creative pathways. I am joined by my esteemed panelists, academic leaders, and research specialists in their own rights. We have four esteemed panelists. Architect Indra Kumar Singh from IIT BHU, Dr. Anil Devan, HOD of Architecture from SPA Delhi, Dr. Mahesh Chandra Govil, Director of NIT Sikkim, and Dr. Gauri Shirkar from Symbiosis Skills. Welcome, all four of you, and I request each of you to take a quick 30 minutes introduction of yourself and what are you expecting out of the next generation. Yeah, over to you. Let me start with Dr. Indra Kumar. Yeah, please.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It is. Thank you for giving this opportunity to speak about it. I'm really looking for. I'm architect Indra Kumar Singh, and currently uh, I'm a faculty at Indian Institute of Technology, BHU Varanasi, for the Department of Architecture. And I'm looking forward for an interactive session today, so that let's see how we can proceed for the further step for the digitalization, and how can we catch up with the industry and academia together. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor. Let me move on to Professor Anil Diwan, sir.
Yeah. So I'm Anil Diwan. I head the Department of Architecture here at SPA Delhi. So let me say a few words about SPA Delhi first. So we are an institute of national importance, and we have 12 departments. So we have planning, we have architecture, we have industrial design, and then we have building engineering and management. So we are here doing multidisciplinary things. So we are doing planning, engineering, and architecture. But as you all know, that engineering from the beginning of it became a 4-year course, and architecture was a 5-year course. Why was a bachelor's degree in architecture a 5-year course? Was because of so many unlearning, learning. So I think all that I'll talk in the session. So this is just to introduce my institution and my subject to you. So that I'll talk later. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Dr. Mahesh Chandra Govil.
So good morning to all present, the panelists as well as the participants. So I had a nearly 35 years of teaching experience in engineering, and basically belongs to NIT Jaipur, but right now director NIT Sikkim. And we are a young institution. Still, we have not received the land from the state government. but we have a very good infrastructure, and I believe this platform is a very important because uh, addressing the issues in light of the NEP 2020 is very important as far as the implementation concerned. The uh, document is very nice, everybody appreciates, but when it comes to the implementation, we all know, right, what's the position in BR, right, because of the population, because of the maybe infrastructure and so many things. So I think this is going to be a good discussion and may provide some guidelines to the schools as well as the higher learning institutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. May I request Dr. Gauri?
Good morning to all the esteemed panelists, and good morning all the viewers uh, on the online dais. I bring warm greetings from Symbiosis Skills and Professional University, Pune. We are the first skills university in Maharashtra and probably the second residential skills university in India. And we focus on its, we have 17 programs running in this university, which are sector specific courses, right from BBA to engineering to beauty and wellness to data science and architecture and design. And it's a multidisciplinary university with the focus on experiential learning. So that's about my university. I'm heading the School of Architecture, Urban Development and Planning, and also I am the in charge director for School of Construction and Infrastructure Management. We are also coming up with a new School of Sustainability Studies, which I am right now looking after. So that's my brief introduction, and I'm really looking forward to a very meaningful discussion, which can probably give us a further direction to walk on this path. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Gauri. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all heard, we have an esteemed panel. A quick introduction about myself. Supreet Nagaraju. I lead the education vertical for Adobe in India. I'm also the advisory board member for a few of the government, state government bodies and universities. Member of the FICCI and CII higher education, task force across India. So we have a joint responsibility as industry and academia today to give a pathway uh, to the next generation in terms of accelerating their learning outcomes, experience, and growth. In that direction, today we are here to discuss a very pertinent topic of how do we create a super express highway that can augment, overall scheme of things from learning, both experientially and also by research and applying them to real life problems that can create a new Bharat, both on entrepreneurial and skilling and development side. So let me start my first round of conversation, around what does the definition of digital mean to you, each of your esteemed panelists in your respective realm and specializations that you are trying to address. Let me start with Dr. Mahesh Chandra Govil. Sir, your thoughts on this.
Okay, thank you. So, digital as far as the education sector is concerned, right? So, we all know now in last 2 years we have realized the power of the digital world, and of course this means a lot to the education institutions because earlier most of the institutions are not using the online content and not using the digital technologies to the pedagogy as well as the content generation and etc. But now we have learned how to use these digital media as well as the power of the internet, or you can talk about the new technology, the cloud. The contents are available freely. The most of the world known universities are providing free of course the course uh, contents. So I think we can really take the advantage of this digital platform, and I believe everybody has to learn the blended mode of learning. We have realized also how essential the physical teaching to the student is important in the classroom. So interaction is one of the very very important aspect of the education also. It's not possible to go only digitally, because the student have to experience a lot of thing in the campus when they come to the campus, and they learn indirectly a lot of things. So both digital, of course, the digital world is very very important for the education world right now, because you have a readily available material, right, to teach as well as to learn. So this is one aspect. And the of course, we have to learn, the faculty has to learn how to go, as I said, the blended mode of learning. We still do not know how to use the pedagogy, or we do not know even the pedagogy of this blended mode of teaching especially. So I think the digital world is going to help us, and then the all the institution has to go for more, let's say, the digital, in terms of the most of the institutions still do not have a ERP. Okay, so that is also important. An ERP is something where you can maintain each and everything, starting from your management side to your administration side as well as your teaching side. So I think this is digital. Using the digital facilities is very very important in my opinion, and we cannot survive without this digital technologies now.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your kind thoughts and sharing your ideas. Let me move over to Dr. Gauri. She represents a slightly vibrant part of the skilling area, which is more both blended online, and I think there is a lot of offline classroom courses that they run, and across multidisciplinary in nature. Dr. Gauri, your thoughts on what
Yes.
does digital and creativity mean to you in your outcomes that you're trying to arrive at?
Yeah, basically, I would thank you so much. I would like to start with a different, on a different note, because this, for all of us, like for organizations or for individuals per se, this pandemic has represented, a prolonged time of trial, and cultural anthropologists call it a liminal experience. Actually the term was originally used to describe a cultural rite of passage where young members of a tribe used to be tested to their limits, both physically and mentally, to
Can you hear
prepare
us,
them.
Dr. Gauri?
Hello.
Yeah. Please carry on. Please carry on.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yes.
Yeah. So we have faced a similar kind of an experience, which is a liminal experience, which has these three core characteristics. The first is it involves a forced and prolonged separation from normal ways of being and doing, physically and emotionally challenging dislocation from familiar roles and structures. So many of us have experienced it during this pandemic. And secondly, uh, although a liminal experience involves prolonged break from the normal or familiar, it does not fully replace it. It is both distinguishedly different, and it is confusingly similar also. Means in the pandemic, we all of us were doing something disturbingly different, but at the same time similar, or we were providing the normal services in a different on a different platform. And moreover, when this liminal experience comes to an end, those who have survived uh, of that liminal experience, they return transformed. When we finally emerge from our time of trial, uh, we all of us have been changed in lasting ways that many of us are still grappling with it and still trying to come to terms with it. But the big question is how we can make the most of those changes, and for both for ourselves and for our students. As there was a point of time in architecture where people used to say, including the regulatory authorities, that architecture cannot be taught online, and there were no courses of architecture in an online mode, and you had to teach things offline, and there were a few courses which were shut down, which were in an online mode. So from there we have come to terms with this new normal, where all of us are forced in this, due to this liminal experience, all of us are forced, to change the pattern, to change the so called uh, bubble of having this online teaching learning pattern, and where digitization has become extremely important. And the resources, yes, we could switch on to online mode immediately because we had the resources, but it's not the case with anyone and everyone. So we need to be prepared for it, and this is going to be there for a long long time, probably throughout our lives henceforth. So we have to be ready for that, and we have to equip ourselves and our students for this platform. So that's what I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gauri. Let me now move over to Professor Anil Diwan. So your thoughts on this subject?
Yeah. So I would second whatever Dr. Gauri has said, but we in SPA Delhi had very peculiar situations. Our situations were our students come from very diverse backgrounds from all over the country. So they come from a remotest village in Bihar. So I could now state a example. One girl said that we were to have a online jury where she was to defend her work, and she said that she is likely to get a power failure because there is a flood in her village. So the internet connectivity is already very very poor, and then she may be without power also. So we asked her to charge her batteries and her phone on full charge, maybe go to another location where she would get good internet connectivity. We asked her classmate to upload her presentation and to be seen by the jury members, and she could answer the questions of the jury on phone. So we had this digital divide in a way by which there were people who are from very remote locations, poor backgrounds, and then in architecture, at ma'am had said, the regulatory authority and all those people, we would start with hand and brain and hand coordination and doing manually everything with pen and pencil or with uh, paper on pencil and all those manual things. So now I think we should leapfrog and use these opportunities to go fully digital right from schooling stage. Like sir had said that we have to make the changes at the school level. So once they have done all those things in school, maybe in architecture curriculum we have to make, and planning courses we have to make them 4 years, we have to make them integrated programs, and we have to give them much more choices of, like she said, sustainability, construction management, facade design, or whatever it could be. So they could specialize in whatever they want to, start with whatever and finish with whatever. So the choice is with the student now, and the courses are all available online. So the discussion and things like that happens in the classroom. So we are not just delivering content. The content is there on YouTube for them to watch whenever they have to. They do the discussions here. Actually, what the batch which never entered the campus and they're going to pass out, 2 years master's degree programs, have not entered the campus and they're going to pass out. So what those people are missing are the interactions between the students, peer groups, and teachers and students. So those blended modes have to be worked out. Like we have MOOC programs. I have a ARPIT program on teachers training programs, SWAYAM programs. We have uploaded a lot of videos. So maybe now we could ask the students to watch the video, come to the class, and have a discussion forum there. And we could have quiz kind of questions and which they could answer and they could go further. So the opportunities are endless now. And we could reach many more students now. The problems are with PhD scholars and with the labs and researchers and all those things. So that we could discuss maybe in the next round.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Anil. One common thread that is running across all the three esteemed panelists is adapt or die, right? That is coming out clear and loud. One of the other important aspect that I like to highlight upon is the fact that democratization of choosing what an individual likes will actually pave way for a lot of creativity and innovation across the entire length and breadth of the student journey. Thank you so much for that. Let me move on to Dr. Indra Kumar Singh. Your thoughts, Professor?
Yeah. Actually, I feel this digital world is something which is inevitable. It will be coming up, even if we'll avoid it or if we try to go ahead with it. But I really agree with the Gauri ma'am and Anil Divansa. They rightly said the blended mode of the teaching is really important. And I also feel this digital is much about the interaction, and it's a different level of interaction and a different level of expression as well. Like there was a time, and it is also shrinking the world. Like now we all are sitting in a very different location of the country, and we are interacting together on one platform through digital medium. So it is just shrinking the world. Even there was a time when an architect used to have large offices. They're supposed to have their drawing table, then they had their model making space. But now everything has been shrunk to a laptop or a sketchbook. That's it. You can start with that now. And also it is more about the interaction. I mean, now we are interacting digitally, but it has certain limitations also. Like this is not warm enough. Like if you would have conducting this workshop physically, then I think this would have been a mm, different level of interaction. But yes, this is something which we are going ahead. Even before the pandemic, we never thought that we'll be teaching the architecture student in a digital mode. It is really hard to conduct a design studio in a digital medium, but we are also learning and trying to conduct that. And I don't know from this time where we'll be leading forward. It may be possible. Now we are talking about the metaverse. It may be possible after a few years we will be conducting a studio in a real virtual world, if this will be possible for a few more years. So I think the digital is good, but it has certain really, limitations also. So we also need to have a blended mode of medium, because as a human we need in real interaction, we need warm interactions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my thought on this.
Thank you, Professor. With this, let me move on to the next set of our conversations, specifically on the how part of it, right? How would we like to bring about changes? Today, one thing that is clear to all of us, and we've heard it from many of the experts from the education fraternity, and even during the launch of NEP 2020, that what got us here as a country in the academic fraternity, particularly in the higher education space, won't get us there. We need to change gears, and we need to change fast. We need to unlearn few things that we've done so far. Maybe that's given us success, but will the same success be available to us in the forthcoming generations and the next set of students that we are trying to create as prospective professionals, prospective entrepreneurs? Maybe not. So the critical question that probably we'll have to answer, and most important aspect is, how do we go about executing this to deliver world-class experiential learning within the limitations of the contour of our country? And how do we look at emphasizing more and planning more on bringing about the digital super express highway available to the nook and corner of every single strata of our education system and geographically dispersed area? So with that, let me start with the first thoughts that I have in my mind, particularly about the mode of execution of these digital learnings. Of course, we have platforms like Zoom and Teams and many other online platforms for having interactions. But education is not just about having a face-to-face interaction. It is also about getting the student to get a feeler of specific problem solving skills, critical thinking part of it, collaborating on real life projects, right? It is more of theoretical, which needs to be flipped to 80% practical as an area. So what are the new techniques that you as academic leaders are adopting to bring about a significant change in the way in which how students can look at adapting the practicality of some of these problem solving skills, the project works, and I'm sure there are a lot of design related elements that come into each one of your courses, both in architecture, planning, various other industrial engineering part of it. Let me start with uh, Professor Anil Diwan on this subject, and then I'll take a round robin on the rest of them. Over to you, sir.
So now, see, in our institution, we had very good softwares. We used to have GIS for planning and all these other tools were there. But now, what happened in the pandemic situation was that the students were in their locations. They had, so some of them didn't even have laptops. So some of them were working with smartphones. So then we we adapted very soon, and then lot of different capabilities of the systems were very clearly adapted, but we were used to touch and feel. We were kind of a gurukul kind of system where one student was guided by jury of teachers, and they would give various points of views of how to do, what to do, why not do this, why not see this and that. So all those things on the digital platform were difficult for us to adapt and to get used to, but now we have uh, come across and we are used to it. But looking ahead on the future, we were the yesterday's finance bill and the budget had a provision for institutes of excellence in planning, and we hope to, in various locations all over India, we hope to get very good support from the government of India for that, and hopefully we will come up as a center of excellence wherein the newer modalities, the newer softwares, the newer technologies of maybe a pen, a digital pencil which could work as 4B, 6B, very soft and very, very tactile on paper. We could do it digitally. People with Apple could do it here, but we want to bring that to the person with very economically backward classes in remote locations. We want to bring that capability at least at the senior secondary level and to all the design disciplines or planners right from the day one. So that will reduce the time span of our education. We would also come back to 4 years of undergraduate and integrated 5 years and many disciplines. So this paradigm shift, we are hoping that the AICT, the Council of Architecture, the Ministry of Education would allow us to do, and it will be affordable and accessible to all. So this is what we are aspiring to do. What tools, what modalities, you people know much better than me,
Sure.
because I am
So
quite old
if
school.
I were
Yeah.
to summarize a couple of points, one, you're looking at equity and access to students from a decentralized mode, in
Yeah.
as many words, whether it is hardware or a software technology, and second, of course, is to also give equity and access to students beyond who are entering your esteemed institution, so that there are fundamentals being available in the form, maybe in the form of a center of excellence as an area dispersed across the respective geographies as a model. Yeah. Thank you so much, for your, pointers, Professor Ranil. Let me bring in the engineering perspective of this. If I can request Dr. Mahesh Chandra Govil to share in his pointers. Dr. Mahesh Chandra Govil.
Okay. Thank you once again. Yes, I think very important point has been raised, Professor Anil Divanji. But my take is little different. See, every time I say we are a diverse country, and of course, we all know the limitation of the infrastructure, limitation of resources. Yes, we are the institute of nation importance, therefore, there is no crunch of the resources. But look at the private engineering institutions, especially the schools in the villages. We all know, even the proper buildings, furnitures, and forget about the labs. Okay, so I think somewhere I believe because the kid is going to spend nearly 12 years of his important career in the schools. So that part becomes a very because the student comes to us in the for a 4 years, and we want to teach him each and everything starting from the first year, the languages, and even in the some sort of a management. And then if he is from the engineering, then engineering, or he or she is from the architecture or management, whatever it might be. So I think we have to address the school education very seriously. We talk about the OBE, but is it, are we following the OBE truly? When you read the paper on the OB, it says you have to find out the capability as well as the requirement both at the childhood level, when he is in the fifth or sixth class, or even I say when he is in the first class. So that is the, I think, the basic requirement if you really want to achieve the creative career. I think we have to build in the creativity from the childhood. We know how creative the child is at the age of 2 years or 3 years. He asks so many questions for each and everything, and slowly we kill the creativity. We ask him only, okay, you should know the GK, you should know the so many things. I think we start burdening from the childhood. So I think first of all, we have to see, this reminds my school education, because I graduated from a very small village and we have studied under the tree even. And that time also the creativity was there in the education, because they give us so much of work doing with our hands, and we learn a lot. And village environment is entirely different. So first of all, we have to look, because you cannot take a pride that you have a so many institute of national importance and you have done. No, it's not done. We have to take it very seriously. Especially, I know I have worked as a principal in the government engineering institutes of the state also, and I know how pathetic these institutions are. You don't have a money to for the labs. How to talk about the blended learning? And when it comes to the industry, industry is also selective, right? Of course, they also have a limited infrastructure, so we cannot assume the all these students are going to get the internship at the third year level or the second year level or the final year level. So that is, these are the factors we have to really think very seriously. So what I propose here, at the school level, at least if it is not possible to provide the good laboratories or good learning environment in each and every school at the village level or the district level, at least we can create a some sort of the center of excellence in the district level or maybe block level, so the students can move from the nearby village, they can see the good labs, they can perform some experiments, and they can feel. Another important aspects of the education is, I think, NITs, IITs, even in the architecture institutions of those who says we are the institute of national importance, have a very big responsibility. Why can't they invite the students from the nearby villages, especially from the schools, right? And then show them the labs, show them the and provide them some sort of a experience, or the at least the feeling what we are supposed to do in the future. Because we are in the Sikkim, and I realize I reached out to various schools, and schools are so you can say the passive, they don't want to come to our NIT, and I offered them the computer labs. I said, come anytime, I'll give you my labs. But because of this pandemic, we are not able to implement fully, but the students should have been given a feeling. But this is happening, it's, I'm not saying, but that is happening very small level, because IITs also have 3-4 days and invite the schools from the villages, students from the villages, and they offer the whole infrastructure, they visit. So these things have to be, I think, increased in volume. That is also necessary. And the second part, which is very crucial, is the teacher, right? And we all know how and what the quality we have. I think I should not comment over here. Yes, you have a good teachers, good professors in the, again, the Institute of National Importance, and few teachers in the state engineering institutions, right? But overall, if you look at the quality, even in the schools, forget about the good schools or the big schools, that is a big question mark. I think we should not compromise at the quality of teacher, and at least the capability, because it needs both your attitude as well as the teaching skills. If you do not have an attitude for the education, I think he or she is not right material for the teacher or the education word. So the most important, I feel, is the teacher is the backbone of your whole what you said, the quality of education. So let us do some, because I have seen still we are not changing our way of assessment. We are not changing way of our designing assignments. As at times I feel the designing of the assignment is very, very important from the industry prospects. Look at the foreign universities. If you look at their assignments, all assignments are rounded around the industry problem. Whether the students is able to solve or not, that is a second issue. But at least have him, have her or him to realize what is being needed for the industry. So that kind of the feeling is very, very important. So I think, even I say, I also don't know, frankly speaking, how to design the real assignment for the industry, because I've been never been given a opportunity to go through to industry work for a year or 2 years or 3 years. So another requirement is the teachers or the professors must be allowed to freely move into the industry environment for at least 1 or 2 years, so they can have a feeling what industry needs. What we are all discussing in the blended mode of learning is how we can imbibe the video material into our lectures, so that we can show 2 3 minutes of the video to the students, let them realize what actually the machines look like, and then I think if you discuss the theory, they will be understanding more. The last part is we have to segregate the students. We always say we have a weak students, we have a very good students, we have an average student. But when it comes to the segregation part, I think we are failing at times, because of the social reasons, because of, sometimes we say, if you divide these students into different good, there might be different feeling, and there might be complaints from the society, maybe from government also, maybe from the different sectors. I think we should give the full autonomy to the institutions, especially to the teacher. At times the teacher is still not having the autonomy. He has a somewhere some sort of a fear in back of his mind. So I think these are the important issues which we have to address. Even in the curriculum design is a very, very important. If you find in the in universities, especially private or government, they put so much of content in the curricula, which is not right for the students. So many things are there. If we really want to achieve what you said, accelerating creative career, so creativity has to be imbibed from the childhood. Not should not wait for, let's say, entering into the architectural institution or the engineering institution or some management institution. I think that's too late. The last point, my, is the language. We all know, right? We cannot survive without English. I am right. Sorry to say this, but we all know how comfortable we are right now with the English language, and all our work in teaching, in administration, everywhere goes in this language. So if we know the reality, why can't we address this issue from the, let's say, school education? Why we wait for the entry into the some professional courses, and then we are, oh, you don't know soft skills, you don't know English, therefore you first study the English and the software. So running away from the reality is, I think, not a right good practice. I believe we should realize, if we think the English is going to be the okay, something which is very, very important for all of us, let us address from the beginning, so that when the students comes to us or the institutions of this professional or the technical learning, I think he should have a sufficient understanding of the lectures or the material. Right? So these are the few points I think we must address, right? If we really want to achieve what you said, right? Creative career. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very pertinent points, Dr. Mahesh Chandra. You know, very absolutely, you are nailing on some of these very pertinent hot topics. The criticality will obviously boil down to execution excellence, and I look forward to hearing more from the other esteemed panelists. Let me now move over to Dr. Indra Kumar Singh. Slight pivoting on some of the subjects. We have a question from one of the audiences. Do we see an online model replacing physical class models now? Not just from an interaction perspective, but also in terms of the practicality of it. I'm just posing a question which is coming from the audience, but relevant to the current scheme of things that we are discussing right now. So over to you.
Yes, actually, as of now, it seems to be like that we are moving towards this online theme, and even now, I feel this is the future of the education. So even I think this was all this already which is coming, because the digitalization has been evolved enormously in the past decade, and in academics, it was also there. Students are learning the digital mediums as well, but but before the pandemic, the classes were running in a physical mode, and it suddenly switched to the online mode. So we all had to learn fast. We are still learning how to run. We're still experimenting, but this is something which I feel is the future. So more and more digitalization is the requirement of the today's world. This pandemic, I think, it just played a role of the catalyst for the process. And but yes, the problem, as Goel sir has addressed, is really there. The difficulty, and even the students who are coming from the underprivileged background, they are facing problems in adopting this world. So there has to be something which could be a blended mode. There has to be something which will be a mixed mode, and even because the digitalization, it will never stop. It will be going far and far futuristic. Even a few years ago, just a couple of years ago, I met with an architect, and he developed a software for this 3D representation, and they were showing it through the this augmentative reality and the virtual reality device. And they were ready with a program which in which they wanted to conduct a workshop for the student, in which, and even they were ready to rent out their device to the students. So I think that was something which is really need to come forward. There is something which could be even coming forward from the institution, from the professionals, from the software companies, so that a student will be having a broader reach towards the softwares and the reality which which a software can bring, because the digitalization is much about the expression, so that you can express your idea in a better way. It is like that. But we also need to address the challenges in this, especially about the internet connection, the remote areas. So yes, online medium is something which will be there for a long time, and I think this will become a future. It may not be. It's just my instinct.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my opinion on this.
Thank you, Professor Indakumar. Thank you for your suggestions and ideas that you shared. So, one of the other important aspects of achieving this excellence in education, is largely to do with how do you look at creating curriculums which are relevant to the current context of things, right? From an industrial output, and also from how do you look at balancing, from the current versus future. That's one. The second part of it is the delivery part of it. Are you and the respective academic fraternity ready to make the necessary changes in the style and the pedagogical approach? And what are your thoughts around it? In the hybrid world. So let me start with Dr. Gauri in this area. Is it something that only the faculties need to look at? Bringing about these changes, or is it that instead of reinventing the whole wheel, they need to look at collaborating with few other players, or is it the industry and academia should come together to look at addressing this? Just I'm throwing this idea across to all of you, and let me start with Dr. Gauri on this, and then we'll take a round robin.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to reflect upon what my other panelists just said about the online learning. And about the creative careers. I totally agree with Dr. Mahesh when he said that our school education needs to be really transformed, and I hope this new education policy does that, because when students come to us in the first year of architecture, many of them are really lost, and there are a very few students these days who are really really passionate about architecture or design, and who know what they want to do in life, or who actually can use the right side of their brain, because our education system is such that we don't allow our kids or our students to use the right side of the brain. So the total education system, schooling needs an overhaul. And probably you must be knowing that there are like 9 types of intelligences, which are known as multiple intelligences. If it is taken into consideration at school level, and the intelligence of the student is understood, his or her learning pattern is understood, and then the student give uh, is allowed to learn in his or her own learning patterns, things would be different. You can do it through multiple intelligence mapping, through skill mapping, which we do in our school of architecture when the student joins us. It's a totally different exercise to be taken up in a school of architecture, but we do it when the student comes in first year, and every year we do his skill mapping, so that we understand how he is we understand his strengths and his weaknesses, and we try to convert his weaknesses into strengths. The other thing which I feel about the industry academia collaboration is, which our university is doing a lot about. I would like to stress upon here, the university was established to bridge the gap between academics and profession. Symbiosis took this initiative because uh, our management felt that there is a huge gap between academics and profession. So to bridge the gap between academics and profession, we established this particular university. And when it comes to curriculum, uh, we did an exercise this year. Before we shifted to a new syllabus, we implemented a new syllabus after uh, declaration of new education policy. And what we did was, it is an outcome based curriculum, but what we did in school of architecture was we conducted a survey uh, amongst the professionals. It was a huge survey. We surveyed nearly 500 architects and professionals, and tried to understand the need of the industry, need of the hour, and what the profession needs, and try to understand the gaps. And then we formulated this new syllabus on the guidelines given by Council of Architecture. So if but we could do it because we are a private university, state private university. But I know all the affiliated colleges may not have this privilege, and to develop their curriculum in this particular manner. And it's not possible for state universities, where they have a lot many colleges under their umbrella. They need to standardize the syllabus, and then they cannot afford to take up this kind of exercises, and then design the curriculum and implement the curriculum. So uh, so uh, that parity has to be there. We How we bring that parity is a big question. One more thing is about industry experts. This digitization has opened up a lot many opportunities, for all of us, where in last 2 years all breaking the boundaries of nations, and we could have industry experts and academicians all across the world interacting with our students on digital
Yep.
platform. We could also have virtual site visits, we could have virtual tours, we could have virtual tours of Spain and other countries. Students could, yes, they of course couldn't feel the space, but at least they could see it virtually. We could have some online design workshops, and where the presenter used to give some kind of a design exercise, which was, I'm really proud to say this, that we had this online uh, workshop, design workshop with an architect from Spain, and the project was a live project given to the students, and the students worked on it, and it was presented to the local authorities of Spain, Madrid, and a few of the uh, art installations are going to be installed, executed actually in Madrid, which our second year, third year students have designed. So this kind of opportunities definitely opened up for the students. We could also take up some real life projects where there was a lot of peer learning, though it was a virtual studio, and we experienced 24-hour studio culture, where the students used to log in, and the faculty used to log in, and the faculty used to enter and see whether the students are working. There were vertical studios happening. Whatever we used to do in physical mode, we also tried in virtual mode. But of course,
Correct.
all this we did was trial and error method. I think a lot of capacity building of teachers is also needed to be done, to make us ready for this blended kind of learning as well. And I think Council of Architecture is taking a lot of initiative in this, with COA TRC, which also try to educate teachers how to adopt to this new normal. So that was one more thing. And I think blended learning empowers teacher and standardize quality of content, alongside a robust monitoring and evaluation system. We need to develop all these things. Unless we develop these systems, we will not be successful to achieve a sustainable development goal 4, which seeks to ensure inclusive, equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Which as sir rightly said, Anil sir, ki there are students who are from rural backgrounds, and other such places where there are a lot of restrictions, and they face
Yes.
a lot of challenges. So there has to be, I think, a all inclusive policy of edutech, where technology can be introduced, digitization can be introduced in a better manner. And I think government has a huge role to play in this. So that's what
That's right. Understood.
I wanted
Thank you
to
so
say.
much for that, elaborate pointers that you shared. It's very valuable. In the interest of time, and I think the host is giving me a red flag on the timeline, so I'll try and wrap it up in the next 5 to 7 minutes. There are a couple of questions pertinent to the collaboration and the industrial, outlook of some of these areas. There's a question that's come straight to me from one of the audiences in terms of what they can do with Adobe. So Adobe, as you know, today has also entered into the 3D world, impacting a lot of design and architecture related space, and also on the engineering side. I'm happy to take this discussion offline, but at a high level, what we wanted to bring to everybody's attention today is we work very closely with academic institutions to set up center of excellences with very clear-cut learning outcomes in place, with three large deliverables as part of the scope. One is a technology access from anywhere, any place, any device as a model. The second part of it is on faculty development and augmentation from a curriculum development standpoint. The third is talent showcase, problem solving and talent showcase for students. Once your students are ready, the most important aspect of it is to showcase talent to the outside world. Then we have a beautiful online platform for them to showcase talent to the outside world. It's very similar to what you face in LinkedIn, but in a more project oriented manner. Ask for support from the industry. There's an interface where you can look at having curriculum and mentoring from the industry. You can showcase your talent. You can even apply for assignments and stuff like that. So this is in a nutshell what we call as Adobe Creative Technology Academy. I'll not elaborate too much on that. For those who are interested in having a conversation, I'll leave my contact details online in a while. And those of you who are interested to drop a note, you feel free. My second name nagaraju at adobe.com. With that, I'll move over to the next set of questions, and I request all the respective panelists to be brief in their responses. What does collaboration and industrial outputs look like for you jointly? If I may start with Professor Anil, and then we can move on to the rest of them. Sir, a couple of minutes, your thoughts, please.
Yeah. So, I would start with collaboration. Suppose I teach a subject called professional practice, which a class is going on now. There's another class going on now. I'm looking at your monitor and that monitor at the same time. So, I'm looking at the students making presentations on EPC mode of constructions. So now, as we know, the industry has moved on. What the councils and regulatory authorities are saying and what is actually happening in the profession are two different things. So if I have the resources, what I want to offer here is let my classes be available online to all the schools of architecture in India. So, my content could be shared with all. Like Professor said, that, there are schools or colleges in remote villages and all which don't even have furniture, let alone a lab. So, we have the content. It's 40 years of developing the content. We are more than 80 years old institution. So, all that legacy, all that learning which has been passed on to us through generations, we would like now it to be open online to all, not only in India, all over the world. Let them get it. And then, like MOOCs and all that, if you want a certification out of it, you pay for the exam, do it, and all those modalities could be worked out. So I want the industry should come and support all the infrastructure like software and computer support and IT and all this AR and VR and all those things to be provided to us. So we also are having now jury members in China and London, and the students presenting here, and then working here on projects all over the world. Internships now are open anywhere in the world. So
Very
those
interesting.
things we are also doing, and we are so these are very challenging times, very difficult times. So we have psychological issues and all those kinds of issues because we have benchmarks and we have standards which we have to follow. So the students have to come up to that. So that is all I have to add here, and maybe we'll take it because of lack of time. I would like to stop here.
Very
Yes.
interesting perspectives and ideas. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Anil. Dr. Mahesh Chandra, your thoughts, please.
Okay, so rightly said, we do have started a lot of things here, and most of nearly 5-6 subjects are like going like this. What the Professor Anil has said, we invited the professors from IIT and NIT. They are teaching here online, of course. So that is you can say the power of the digital world. The another thing we started the NIT 6M again the professional practice, but we had a different idea, sending the students to the villages at least for 15 days. Because the pandemic, we did not implement it fully, but the idea was sending them to at least 15 days nearby villages of their hometown, and they have to submit a case study or maybe a report of nearly 30-40 pages. So the reason was, let us realize them how the rural area of the India looks like and what are the problems they have. So at least what you said, the problem solving skills, at least the thought process should be back of their mind, and they can develop some of the indigenous product or may design some product. So that is one issue. what the rightly the Professor Anil sir has said, I think providing the infrastructure, especially softwares, are becoming too costly now, and they are not accessible to the especially the private as well as the state government engineering college. So what he says is rightly it is I think the industry may start some program where they can take few of the engineering institutions or the architecture institutions or few of the like schools, okay, where they can support as far as the what the digital infrastructure is needed in those schools. I think these are the steps I think we can slowly take. And the students, I believe the students can be utilized to teach at least in schools, and they this is a big force, and we have to channelize. So I think
Absolutely.
that can change what you said, okay, some sort of the quality education at the school level. And when when the young students have an interaction with their younger ones, I think the impact is entirely different. We see
Absolutely.
in our homes also, when you they say something to our kids, and then something is being said by the younger ones, there is a different kind of it. So I think we can elaborate on some of the new ways of improving this OBE, or the creating the good career for the students. Something can be done. We have a I think very the good people across the country, like you, Nagaraju, is doing very good work, and we'll get in contact with you, so we'll do collaboratively something. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mahesh Chandra. Very well said across. Collaboration is the way forward, and with that, I'd like to share a important, pertinent topic on technology access across the institutions today. Is the need for collaborating amongst yourselves to also bring scale, quality, and cost of some of the access to these technologies down. I'm more than happy to jointly work with many of you. Maybe some of you have councils like councils of architecture. Can we look at jointly bringing all of you together under one umbrella and trying to see how we can bring in equity and access at a nominal cost, and also bring in knowledge transfer at scale to all of your faculty members? Just a proposal. Similarly, we can try to look at engineering fraternity. Maybe you have association of engineering colleges across the country. Happy to discuss this offline. Let me move on to our last panelist, and the last opportunity for me to before I get checked out of the room online from the host, Dr. Indra Kumar Singh. Your thoughts on collaboration, and what are you up to in IIT as an IIT?
Yeah, as even in ITBHU, we also acquired a few of the softwares which are required. But the thing is, the software are in our computer lab, and for the students, yes, we are trying to provide them the user ID and the password as provided by the software companies. But again, the problem is there. Few of them are not having the laptops, so they may not be able to use it perfectly. So that happens. Let's see how that will go. How that will move forward. But even this digitalization has given us few more opportunities. Like as Divan sir has said, if he is conducting a class, why couldn't it be open to all the students of architecture for throughout the country? This could happen, and I think this is the opportunity we could have uh, through this digital mediums. And I believe, as you said, Adobe is working with the academics institutions also for developing many other things. I think that is very much required from the software companies, so that they should collaborate with the students, because as of now the softwares are very costly. So for the institutions are also, it is very difficult to afford it. The problem is of affordability on the monetary basis. So it may be possible if they can come up with some student version like few of the companies are having. And this is the kind of investment for them, because once the students become a professional, they will be using it for the professional, then they will purchase these software. So I think that is something we could collaborate with the, as an institution, which is academia, we could collaborate with the software companies and the industries. And we need industrial expert, the digital experts who are the experts in the software, so that they can come and they can train the faculties, train the students, so that I think we will fill the gap between the academics and the industry. I think
Yeah.
that's my take on
Thank
this.
you, and very pertinent pointers, Dr. Indra Kumar. Yeah, as far as Adobe is concerned, yeah, Adobe has been almost about last 40 years. We've been in the education space, and we're committed to ensuring that there is equity and access at a subsidized models. Two very clear-cut takeaways for me as an industry leader and also academic education lead from Adobe is largely to do with how do we help all of you on the center of excellence, establishing center of excellences, particularly on 3D technologies. Yeah, please reach out to me, and my team will definitely be more than happy to draw a three-year roadmap and make things work. And of course, bring in equity and access. I think I have Dr. Gauri who would like to make a finishing comment before we can hand over to Garima.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dr.
sure. Well, I just wanted to add to this that I think integrated learning is a way to collaborate with industry, which we are trying to follow in my university, and also a few real life projects wherein the students' skills are tested, and they actually see whatever they are designing being implemented or executed. We would also, when it comes to collaboration with software companies, I agree with all others that uh, there has to be it should be affordable to all, to all the students, and as institutions how we can make it easier for them, we have to see. And if as a university or as academic institutions we can collaborate with companies like you, it would definitely be advantageous to the students. Moreover, in our university we are also trying to understand what kind of software skills are needed, and what should be the competencies and proficiencies of the students when they graduate. We work backwards and start teaching the students right from first years. And uh, because we are a skills university, we also have yearly internships for the students, which is compulsory for them. They have to undergo 2 months summer internship right from their first year. So during those times also the students understand what kind of digital proficiency and competencies they need to understand, and they come back and they demand that yes, we need to learn this. So if in this some companies like you help us out, and if we can find a golden mean of the requirement or demand and supply, that would be really very advantageous for the students. So that's that was from my side. I took a
Well,
little
well
more time,
noted,
I think.
madam. No problem. Absolutely well noted point. We are with you on this journey as an industry. On behalf of Adobe, yes, we are committed to making things mutually workable. I'm more than happy to take these conversations offline with each of your institutions or as associations, as deemed fit. One last finishing comment that I'd like to make is let us make a pledge to touch the hearts of the young India, inspire them rather than strangle them with the regulatory affairs that we have within our country, and ensure that we deliver jointly clear learning outcomes which are experiential in nature and make a humongous impact to the growth of India, both on the entrepreneurial and on the employment side of the fence, and research, of course, as an area. With that, thank you so much. You've been a great sport. Thank you so much for the great pointers and panel discussion that we've had. I really enjoyed it. And I look forward to many more such deliberations and hear your success stories from an execution standpoint in the near future. Thank you, and God bless India and Bharat.
Thank
Thank
you
you very
so much.
much.
Thank
Over to
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to
Thank you
all the
so
Thank
much.
you.
panelists.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
thank you,
all.
Thank
and
you so
thank
much.
you, Professor Divan, for this lovely comment on technology software will open a new digital pencil, even for a person from the remote location and from the economically weaker section. And Professor Govil for pointing attention towards designing assignments around industry problems, and Dr. Gauri for the need for mapping skills and intelligence as per students' needs, and Dr. Kumar for yes, blended learning does seem to be the future in the coming time. So thank you Mr. Nagaraju for this wonderful insightful discussion, and thanks to all the panelists for their time and their presence today. Thank you very much.
Thank you
My
so much.
pleasure.
Thanks a
Thank you,
lot.
one and all.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.